Well, good morning. I'm going to tell you a story this morning. No cooking or anything like that. It's a story about a lady by the name of Emily D. West. She was born in 1815 in Connecticut to mixed race parents. I don't know which way it was. One of them was white, one was black. Makes no difference. And so her race, technically speaking, is called mulatto. But because many of them had a yellow cast to their complexion, they were known as high yellow. But at any rate, she was freeborn at the time, and her parents died when she was 15, and she became an orphan and became a ward of the Catholic Charities in New York. They took her in to train her to be a housewife, maid, cook, whatever else like that. And in repayment for that, they placed her bond up for sale. And a sea captain bought her bond for a year for $100. And he bought her bond to use her as a housekeeper in a hotel he planned to build in the new country called Texas. Captain Morgan had negotiated with Mexico for possession of a spit of land about 2.5 or 3 miles long and a little over a half-mile wide. Along the coastline at the entry to San Jacinto Harbor, and it gave good protection on the side away from the Gulf of Mexico for ships to tie up, and it had a beautiful beach the full length of it. And he was going to build a colony there called New Washington, and he sailed from New York with all of his indentured servants and his family and other people, about 120 people aboard, and around the tip of Florida and back to the new land that he had claimed in Texas. And they started building the colony there. Emily changed her last name to Morgan, the same as the man who owned her bond, which was common in those days. Just like a wife, if you took an indentured servant, a woman, she changed her name to yours, showing ownership. And it seems funny, but that's the reason that women change their last name to that of their husband, is to show that ownership of them. It's an archaic thing, but it's commonplace. In 1836, Santa Anna decided that there was getting to be too many Texans coming into the land that they call Texas del Norte, Texas of the North. And they claimed it, and it was half the size of Mexico, the land was there, everything north of the Rio Grande River. And all the way up into Montana and into the Rocky Mountains and up through the plains. So he decided to straighten out those upstarts, and he marched in on what they call Camino Real, which was the main road that came in from Mexico and up through San Antonio and that way. And his progress was to raid camps, kill the men, capture the women and children, and sell them to the Indians or trade them to them for goods and things like that, and that way keep peace with the Indians so they didn't have to fight them. When he got to San Antonio, he found a bunch of ragtag men had holed up in an old church there called the Alamo. And he just couldn't allow that to happen, so he attacked it, and these battles went on for a total of 13 days before he was finally able to storm the walls and kill every person in the Alamo. And then he marched from there on to the next largest city, which was Goliad at the time, and they had a fort there built out of wood that was built to repel the Indians, but certainly not an army. And he attacked Goliad, killed over 400 people there, mostly men, captured the women, and moved out from there. His next target was the new colony called New Washington. He arrived there. Most of the men escaped in boats across the bay, but most of the women were captured, were taken captives there. And not only did he have all those captives, but he had everything that was in their warehouse and all that, including a number of kegs of Jamaican rum. Well, they retreated about 4 miles to a level place and decided to camp and celebrate and have a big party that night, and everybody got roaring drunk. Well, the time that he wasted at the Alamo taking it gave Colonel Sam Houston time to raise an army, and he had been trailing Santa Anna all that time, and he set up camp in the trees about a half-mile north of the place where the Santa Anna's army was camped and having their big party. And at daylight the next morning he attacked, and everybody is all hungover and all of that, and they pretty well wiped out half of his entire army, either killed them or chased them into the swamp where they never saw them again. But also they released over 200 women captives they had. But when they found Santa Anna's tent and raided it, there was a young lady in bed with him there. It turned out to be Emily Morgan. And history has treated her very unkindly as a prostitute and things like that, but she was just an unlucky young lady who got caught up in that, and Santa Anna took her as his mistress at the time. But at any rate, Santa Anna was so drunk it took till noon to get him up on his feet, and they took him and his army back to Goliad, where he surrendered and gave them all their arms and everything, and went back to Mexico in defeat. In the meantime, Emily had fallen in love with a black musician who was also freeborn, and he was a street musician who made his living playing a banjo on the streets and singing to people. But they couldn't get married as long as she was under the indentured servitude agreement, and they planned to get married as soon as that ended. Well, after the raid, she became scattered and they separated, and nobody's going to listen to a black man trying to find the woman that he loves. So he wrote this little ditty called Yellow Rose of Texas, and everybody would listen to a musician. And it's a catchy little thing, kind of gets in your mind like some of the other songs of that type, and everybody remembered it. It even became the marching song for the Confederate Army during the Civil War. Well, the history books don't indicate if she ever married him or not, or what happened to her. But a grave marker has been found where she died in 1891 back in New York. So her history has been lost, but her song has lingered on. Mitch Miller took that as his theme song when he had a musical show on TV. In 1936, Texas was picking a state song, and Yellow Rose of Texas lost out by 1 vote, becoming the official Texas state song. But it's been around ever since, and I even use it as the music at the end of my videos. But in order to honor Emily Morgan, they renamed a hotel in San Antonio right behind the Alamo. It's a 13-story hotel there, and it is the Emily D. Morgan Hotel. You can stay there. They also have some stories about it being haunted and things of that sort, but that's advertising gimmick to get you to stay there. But it turned out to be the largest monument to a person in Texas. So if you're ever in San Antonio and take a picture of the Alamo, if you'll look right behind it, that's the Emily Morgan Hotel. So that's my little history lesson for today, and God bless America, God bless Texas, and God bless Emily Morgan.